At my wedding reception, I saw my mother-in-law slip something into my glass when no one was watching. She thought I'd drink it, but I switched our glasses, and when she raised the toast, I smiled. That's when the real wedding drama began. The mirror behind the bar caught it all. I was adjusting my tie, trying to calm my nerves before the toasts, when I saw her reflection. My brand new mother-in-law, Linda Henderson, in her perfectly tailored cream dress, standing at the bar with her champagne flute. Nothing unusual about that, except for the small glass vial she pulled from her clutch. She glanced around, once, twice. Then her manicured fingers tilted the vial over my glass, the one with the little gold card that said groom in Sarah's careful handwriting. Clear liquid, 3 drops, maybe 4, gone in 2 seconds. She slipped the vial back into her clutch, grabbed her own glass, and walked away smiling, waving at Aunt Carol, laughing at something my Uncle Pete said, like she hadn't just committed a felony at her daughter's wedding reception. My heart was hammering so hard I could hear it over the string quartet. I'd known Linda Henderson for exactly 2 years, 3 months, and 16 days. Sarah and I met at a marketing conference in Denver, one of those soulless hotel ballrooms where everyone pretends to care about synergistic brand optimization. She was presenting on social media analytics. I was half asleep in the back row until she made a joke about influencer culture that actually landed. We got coffee after, then dinner. Then I drove 6 hours every weekend for 4 months just to see her. Her mother seemed fine at first, polite, a little formal. She taught high school English for 30 years before retiring, and she had that teacher energy, the kind that makes you sit up straighter and check your grammar. Her father, Robert, was a dentist, quiet guy, collected model trains in the basement, normal people, normal family, until 6 months ago when I proposed. Sarah said yes immediately, cried, called her parents from the restaurant parking lot. I heard Linda's voice through the phone speaker, cold, clipped. Well, that's sudden. Sarah's smile faltered. Mom, we've been together almost 2 years. I just think you should take time to really think about this. I have thought about it. Sweetheart, you barely know him. I watched Sarah's face change. That look people get when someone they love says something that lands wrong. I know him better than you do, apparently. The call ended 30 seconds later. The next few months were a slow-motion disaster. Linda fought us on everything. The venue, the date, the guest list. June weddings are so common, she said at our first planning dinner. We like June, Sarah replied. And the Riverside Inn? It's so rustic. We think it's charming. Well, Linda smiled, the kind of smile that doesn't reach the eyes. It's your wedding. But it wasn't just criticism. It was sabotage. She accidentally sent the invitations to the printer with the wrong date, told Sarah's bridesmaids the dress fittings were canceled, called the caterer, and tried to change the menu to fish, even though Sarah's allergic to shellfish. Every time, she played innocent. Oh my goodness, I must have misheard, with that teacher voice, that I'm disappointed in you voice. 3 weeks before the wedding, Sarah and I were picking up her dress when she got a call. Just think about what you're doing, Linda said. I could hear her through the phone. It's not too late to postpone. Mom, we're not postponing. I'm just saying, marriage is hard, and you're so young. I'm 28. Exactly. You have your whole life ahead of you. Why rush into... Sarah hung up. Her hands were shaking. She thinks you're not good enough, she said quietly. I know. She actually said that last week. She said, he's not from our kind of family. My parents are both nurses. We lived in a 3-bedroom ranch. I went to state school on partial scholarship. The Hendersons had money, not rich, but country club memberships and European vacations and a lake house in Wisconsin. She'll get over it, I said. Sarah looked at me. What if she doesn't? She didn't. The morning of the wedding, Linda showed up at the venue early. I was in the groom's suite with my best man, Marcus, when I heard her voice in the hallway. I need to speak with the event coordinator. Ma'am, we're just setting up. I'm the mother of the bride. This is important. I cracked the door. Linda was standing there in her robe and curlers, clutching a binder. The seating chart is wrong, she said. My sister needs to be at table 4, not table 7. The coordinator, a tired woman named Beth, who'd been setting up since 5 a.m., flipped through her clipboard. We finalized the chart 2 weeks ago based on your daughter's... I don't care what my daughter said. I'm telling you what needs to happen. Marcus whistled low. Dude, your mother-in-law is intense. She tried to get Sarah to cancel, I said. Seriously? Seriously. Why? I shrugged. I'm not good enough, apparently. You're a senior analyst at a Fortune 500 company. Yeah, but my dad's not a dentist. Marcus laughed, then stopped. Wait, you think she'd actually try to ruin the wedding? I think she'd love to ruin the wedding. He looked at me. You're paranoid. Maybe. But 3 hours later, I was standing at the bar watching Linda Henderson poison my champagne. I didn't move for maybe 10 seconds, just stood there, heart racing, trying to process what I'd seen. She drugged me. My mother-in-law, a high school English teacher for God's sake, just drugged my drink at my own wedding. The bartender was refilling someone's wine. The reception hall was chaos. 200 people, string quartet, flower arrangements that cost more than my first car. Nobody was watching the bar except me. I walked over slowly, casual, like I was just grabbing my drink. Linda's glass sat 2 feet from mine. Same champagne, same gold-rimmed flutes, but hers had her name card. Linda Henderson, mother of the bride. I looked around. Nobody watching. I switched them. Her glass where mine had been. Mine where hers had been. Then I picked up what was now my glass, her clean one, and walked back to the head table. Sarah was laughing with her bridesmaids. She looked so happy, beautiful. Her dress was this vintage lace thing that made her look like she'd stepped out of a 1920s photograph. She had no idea her mother had just tried to drug me. I sat down, forced myself to breathe normally. Marcus leaned over. "You good? Great. You look like you're about to throw up." "Wedding nerves," he laughed. "It's your reception. The hard part's over." I watched Linda glide back to the head table. She was smiling, chatting with my mother about the flower arrangements, playing the perfect mother-in-law. She sat down right in front of my glass, the poisoned one. The toasts started 5 minutes later. Marcus went first. Funny speech about how we met in college, how I once tried to cook dinner for a date and set off the fire alarm. Everyone laughed. Sarah squeezed my hand. Then Linda stood up. She grabbed her glass, my glass, and smiled at the crowd. "I want to welcome my new son-in-law into our family," she said warmly. Her voice had that practiced teacher cadence, clear, authoritative. "We are so blessed to have him." I felt Sarah relax beside me, but I was watching Linda's hand, watching her fingers wrapped around the stem of that glass. "Marriage is a partnership," Linda continued. "It takes work, commitment, trust." She looked right at me on that last word. "To the happy couple." She raised the glass. Everyone raised theirs. I raised mine, her clean glass, and watched her. She took a long drink. I pretended to sip. Then she sat down, still smiling, and set the glass on the table. Nothing happened at first. 2 minutes passed, then 3. Linda was talking to my father about his golf game, laughing at something he said. Her face looked normal, fine. Then I saw it. A flicker, just for a second. Her eyes lost focus. She blinked, touched her forehead. "You okay, Mom?" Sarah asked. "Fine, sweetheart." Linda smiled, just emotional, but her hand was trembling. Another minute passed. She tried to pick up her water glass, missed, knocked it over. "Mom, I'm fine." Linda stood up, her legs buckled. Robert caught her. "Linda, what's wrong?" "I don't—" Her words were slurring. "I don't feel—" She collapsed into her chair, face pale, eyes unfocused. The reception hall went silent. "Someone call 911!" Robert shouted. Chaos erupted, guests crowding around, Sarah crying, Marcus pulling out his phone. I stood up slowly and walked to the bar. The bartender was panicking. "I don't know what happened. I swear, all I served was champagne." "She had more than champagne," I said quietly. I pulled out my phone and took a photo of both glasses, the placement, the name cards. Then I walked back to Linda's purse, sitting on her chair, and opened it. Sarah was kneeling next to her mother. "Mom, can you hear me?" Linda's eyes rolled back. I found the vial in the side pocket of the clutch. Small, glass, still had maybe a drop of liquid in the bottom. I slipped it into my pocket. The paramedics arrived in 4 minutes. Detective-level response time. The Riverside Inn was only 2 miles from the hospital. They loaded Linda onto a stretcher while Robert held her hand. She was barely conscious, mumbling incoherently. "What did she ingest?" one of the paramedics asked. I pulled out the vial. "Whatever this is, I think she put it in my drink, then accidentally drank it herself." The paramedic's eyes went wide. "You think?" I watched her do it. Then I switched our glasses. Sarah spun around. "What? Your mother tried to drug me." "That's insane." I saw her at the bar. "She pulled this out of her purse and poured it into my champagne." "Why would she?" "Because she didn't want you to marry me." The paramedic was examining the vial. "This is a benzodiazepine, midazolam maybe. Strong sedative. This amount could cause respiratory depression." Respiratory depression. My hands were shaking. She'd tried to make me stop breathing. The police showed up 8 minutes later. Officer James Cardona, badge number 447, took my statement while Robert rode with Linda in the ambulance. "Walk me through exactly what you saw," he said. I told him. The mirror, the vial, the switch. "And you still have the vial?" I handed it over in a napkin. "I didn't touch it directly. Thought you might want prints." He looked at me. Really looked. "You work in forensics?" "Corporate analytics. But I watch a lot of procedural dramas." He almost smiled. Then put the vial in an evidence bag. "Did anyone else witness this?" "The bartender can confirm I switched the glasses, and there might be security footage. The venue has cameras at the bar. We'll check." He flipped his notebook closed. "I need you to come to the station tomorrow for a formal statement." "Am I under arrest?" "No, but if your mother-in-law dies, this becomes a homicide investigation." My stomach dropped. Sarah grabbed my arm. "She's not going to die. Ma'am, we don't know what she ingested yet. The hospital will run a tox screen." He looked at me. "Don't leave town." Then he was gone. The reception was over. 200 guests filed out in stunned silence. The string quartet packed up. The caterers cleared untouched cake. Sarah and I sat alone at the head table. "She tried to kill you," Sarah said. "Sedate me, maybe. I don't think she wanted me dead." "What was the plan? You pass out at our wedding? In front of everyone?" "Maybe she thought I'd just seem drunk. Embarrass myself. Embarrass you. Give you a reason to leave." Sarah's hands were shaking. "I can't believe—" She stopped. "Actually, I can. She told me last week that marrying you was the biggest mistake of my life. You didn't mention that, because I thought she'd get over it." Tears were streaming down her face. "I thought after the wedding she'd see how happy we are and just accept it. She tried to drug me instead." I know. We sat there in silence. Marcus came over. "Cops are checking the security footage now. Beth, the coordinator, said there's a camera aimed right at the bar." "Good. Also, the hospital called. Linda's stable. They pumped her stomach. She's going to be okay." I felt a wave of relief I didn't expect. I didn't want her dead. I just wanted her away. away from us. We went to the hospital anyway. Robert was in the waiting room. He looked like he'd aged 10 years in the last hour. She's awake, he said, asking for Sarah. We followed him to Linda's room. She was propped up in bed, pale and shaky, with an IV in her arm. When she saw me, her face hardened. What is he doing here? Mom, he saved your life, Sarah said. Saved my... Linda laughed. It sounded bitter. He poisoned me. You poisoned yourself, I said calmly. You put something in my drink. I switched our glasses. That's absurd. We have security footage. Her face went white. The police are reviewing it right now, I continued. You're on camera, at the bar, with the vial. Robert stepped forward. Linda, tell me this isn't true. She didn't answer. Linda, I was trying to help Sarah, she said finally. Her voice was quiet, teacher voice, disappointed. She was making a mistake. By drugging him, I wasn't going to hurt him, just make him sick, embarrass him, show Sarah who he really was, who I really am. I felt anger rising. You don't even know me. I know your type, my type. Social climbers, users. You saw Sarah's family, our money, and I make $85,000 a year, I said. I paid for half this wedding myself. I don't need your money. Then why? Because I love your daughter, Linda laughed. Love? You're 26, 28. You have no idea what marriage takes. What happens when the romance fades and you're left with work. So you tried to poison me. I tried to save my daughter from a mistake. Sarah was crying. You don't get to decide that. I decide who I marry. I decided him. Sweetheart, don't. Sarah's voice cracked. Don't call me that. Not after this. Officer Cardona appeared in the doorway. Mrs. Henderson? Linda looked at him. You're under arrest for attempted assault with a controlled substance. The security footage was clear as day. I watched it at the police station the next morning. My wedding day +1. Marcus came with me for moral support. There was Linda at the bar, 2:47 p.m. Timestamp in the corner. She looked around twice. Then she pulled the vial from her clutch. 3 drops into my glass. The bartender wasn't looking. Neither was anyone else. She slipped the vial back, grabbed her glass, and walked away. 2 minutes later, I appeared in frame, switched the glasses, walked away. Open and shut, Officer Cardona said. DA's filing charges this afternoon. What's the charge? Attempted assault with intent to cause bodily harm. Possession of a controlled substance with intent to distribute. Could be 5 to 7 years. 5 to 7 years. My mother-in-law was going to prison. The news hit social media within hours. Mother-in-law arrested for poisoning groom at wedding reception. My phone exploded. Texts, calls, emails from reporters. Sarah and I ignored all of it. We went on our honeymoon anyway. 2 weeks in Scotland we'd planned for months. It felt surreal. Hiking through the Highlands, touring castles, trying to pretend the last 48 hours hadn't happened. Do you think she'll actually go to prison? Sarah asked one night. We were in a pub in Edinburgh, rain drumming on the windows, whiskey warming my chest. I don't know. Part of me hopes she doesn't. Yeah, she's my mom. Sarah's voice broke. Even after everything, she's still my mom. I took her hand. I know. But another part of me... She stopped. Another part of me hopes they lock her up forever. Linda took a plea deal 3 months later. Her lawyer argued diminished capacity, claimed she'd been on antidepressants that affected her judgment. The DA wasn't buying it. The judge sentenced her to 2 years in county jail, eligible for parole after 18 months. Sarah didn't attend the sentencing. Neither did Robert. He filed for divorce 2 weeks after the arrest. 32 years of marriage. Gone. I went, though. Sat in the back of the courtroom with Marcus. Linda looked smaller somehow. Older. Her hair was gray. She'd stopped dyeing it. No makeup. County jumpsuit instead of designer dresses. When the judge asked if she had anything to say, she stood up. I just wanted what was best for my daughter. The judge, a woman in her 60s with steel gray hair, leaned forward. Mrs. Henderson, I've been on this bench for 23 years. I've seen a lot of parents claim they were protecting their children while actually destroying them. She paused. What you did wasn't protection. It was control, and it was criminal. I know, do you? Because your daughter is here today. She submitted a victim impact statement. Would you like to know what it says? Linda didn't answer. The judge read it anyway. My mother taught me about grammar and literature and how to write thank you notes. She taught me to work hard and value education, but she also taught me that love is conditional, that her approval matters more than my happiness, that I'm not capable of making my own choices. I'm not here today because I don't know what's too painful. I'm not here because I'm building a life with someone who actually trusts me to know my own mind. I hope she gets help, but I don't forgive her. The courtroom was silent. Linda was crying. The judge sentenced her to 24 months. As they led her away in handcuffs, she looked back once, not at me, at the empty seat where Sarah should have been. Sarah and I got the video from the courthouse. We watched it once, together, in our apartment, the one we'd just moved into, 20 minutes from her old neighborhood, 400 miles from her mother. When it ended, Sarah closed her laptop. Do you regret it? She asked, switching the glasses. No. Even knowing she'd go to prison? She made that choice, not me. But if you'd just, I don't know, knocked the glass over, confronted her, she still drugged me. The crime still happened. Sarah was quiet for a long time. I miss her, she said finally. I know. Is that crazy? She tried to hurt you and I still miss her. She's your mom. That's not crazy. I don't think I'll ever forgive her. You don't have to. She leaned against me. Thank you. For what? For not making me choose. I'd never make you choose. She did. Every day. And you never have. We sat there in the dark. Outside, cars passed. Sirens sirens in the distance. Normal city sounds. Inside, we were building something new, something that didn't require poison to survive. 18 months later, Linda was released on parole. Sarah got a letter, her mother's handwriting, 3 pages. She read it once, then put it in a drawer. What did it say? I asked. That she's sorry, that she's in therapy, that she wants to meet for coffee. Are you going to? I don't know. Sarah looked at me. Would you be okay if I did? It's not about what I'm okay with. Yes, it is. No, I said. It's about what you need. If you want to see her, see her. If you don't, don't. Just like that? Just like that. She smiled. Small, sad. She was right about one thing, Sarah said. What's that? Marriage is work. Yeah? But it's the good kind of work. The kind that builds something instead of tearing it down. I kissed her forehead. For what it's worth, I'd marry you again. Even knowing what happens at the reception? Especially knowing. Best wedding toast I ever saw. She laughed. Actually laughed. You're terrible. You married me anyway. I did. She picked up the letter, held it for a moment, then put it back in the drawer. I'm not ready yet. Maybe someday, but not yet. Okay. Is that really okay? Sarah, you get to decide. That's the whole point. She kissed me, long and soft. Outside, the sun was setting, gold light through the windows. We'd survived the worst thing either of us could imagine, and we were still here, still building, still choosing each other. The letter stayed in the drawer for another year. By the time Sarah was ready to read it again, we had a daughter, and Linda had a choice to make too. Be the grandmother we needed, or stay gone. But that's a different story. This one ends at the wedding, with switched glasses, with justice served, with Sarah squeezing my hand in the courtroom and whispering she really should have checked which glass was which, and me smiling, because sometimes the best revenge isn't elaborate. Sometimes it's just letting someone drink their own poison.